Hey YouTube, this is going to be a very short video, and I mean very short. I'm going to do very long, and I'm going to literally skip almost all the pleasantries and get right to this. About yesterday, I do want to make something clear. Edge of Wonder made it very clear they don't want anything to do with me. They think I'm beneath them. That's fine. I don't care what they think. But I do want to say this. When I was talking about conservatives and the infamous and famous way the conservatives do not care about children until they need children and then they bring it up at the last moment. I want to make that clear that I was talking about all conservatives, the group. I wasn't just talking about those people. Like, I wasn't trying to put them down specifically as being bad to children or saying that. It was all conservatives are like that because they were going on this rant about child porn. And I'm saying everybody is against child porn, but they always use children to hide behind hide their true intentions behind. And they hide behind children, but they don't really care about them. That was my point. But moving forward beyond that, I want to talk about something much more serious. Um, and that is the Moloch issue. The Moloch. They put up a statue of Moloch at Rome in the Roman Colosseum. Now, of course, the Romans, you have to remember, are the same people that when the Druids, rarely, but when we did perform human sacrifice at Stonehenge, they once saw this. And what was supposed to be a very ordinary military operation that was supposed to essentially kind of crank down on Druid activity and put us into submission. What they ended up doing instead, the minute they saw the massive act of what they saw to be child sacrifice, was they went ballistic, and they saw human sacrifice and they went ballistic. The Romans went ballistic. The Roman legions went ballistic, and they mowed us down and slaughtered us like animals. So the point that I'm making is the Romans, for all that you can say about them, good or bad, they had a sense of justice, and Rome is considered by many to be the beginning and the pinnacle of human civilization. And even if you look at something like the walking on the moon, without the Romans, that probably wouldn't have been possible. They begun Western civilization. So when they then take and they put up a symbol, that whether it was or not, because I know some people question whether or not Moloch was really a statue that had Canaanite people, or where the Canaanites put stillborn babies. That is to say that these were babies that were already dead. They were usually babies that died at birth. They would put stillborn babies in the flame. And that might be true. But nevertheless, perhaps because of the Jews, or not Jews, but the Hebrews in the Bible, they have become synonymous with and famous for human sacrifice and child sacrifice. So then you have these people doing that, and then Rome, damn. Mm. Then Rome, who are famous for having deities who were very human-like. Damn. They were all very human-like. They reminded us a lot of ourselves. As to where the rest of the world was still, much of the rest of the world was still worshiping monstrous deities. The Romans were doing much of what the Egyptians were doing, except the Romans took it a step further. These deities were mostly fully human. Even the god of the underworld was essentially a man, or seemed to be almost men-like. And of course Hercules, who was part man, part god. And of course they had a TV show even more recently in the 90s called Hercules, and Disney even put out a movie, Hercules, a cartoon movie, Hercules. So the point that I'm making is for them to then take this people that always valued at least their concept of what justice and fairness was, and they had a sense of justice and fairness, for them to allow a deity that's associated with human sacrifice to be put up with one of their major infamous buildings in Rome, the Roman Colosseum, that's actually quite horrifying. Um, and that is what has now happened, and that is a symbol of all things to come. And don't say I didn't warn you, or I don't warn you, because I did warn you about this. Because I talked to you about circumcision, and I have talked to people about that for years. And it's like, if you really think about what that is, you could not spit in your child's face more than by doing that. Except for the fact that it's probably worse than spitting in their face, but just in terms of just respect, you are absolutely spitting in your child's face when you have your children circumcised. You are spitting in their face, and you are showing no respect for them, and you are showing no concern for their interests or what is good for them or what they need or what is okay for them. You don't give a shit, and you're showing that you don't give a shit. So it's like you that's just not good enough, is it? So it's like you have to one up the ante. Well, how do you possibly one up the ante from that? Well, the only option left is, let's build a giant cow statue capable of holding a massive fire and throw our children into it. And if the Canaanites never did practice this, and of course we know from biblical history the Hebrews actually probably did sacrifice children to Jehovah, but even they didn't do it very often. So, but regardless, if the Canaanites never did do this, we would actually be the first people in history to actually sacrifice our children and literally pass our living children through the fires of fires of Moloch. So that is the state of the world right now. We are now accepting and embracing human sacrifice, and that's about all. 1 minute. Look at me. Anyways, that's about all. And I just wanted to say, I'm not specifically talking about Edge of Wonder, regardless of what I think about them. I'm not specifically talking about them when I lay the charge of conservatives not caring about children. I'm not specifically talking about Edge of Wonder. I'm talking about all conservatives. But the point is, that's about all. P666. Oh yeah, and like I said, don't circumcise your children. As you know, I believe, and like I have said a lot before, don't circumcise your children. Do not circumcise your children, or don't circumcise your children. P666.